Okay, so how many people are there? Looks like about, what is the size of your class? Whole batch. 180 in one section. Looks like a bit less. Are they 180? 140. Where are other 40 people? Okay, so first of all, I think since you don't know me, right? Or you know me already. Okay, so my name is Manish Kumar Gupta, right? So you know that at least that much you probably know. So this discrete math course SC205, I've been teaching since last 3-4 years, maybe. Yeah. And the initial thing for in Corona, so we started YouTube, and now everything is available in YouTube, right? So today also I have made arrangements so that you can look at the lectures at YouTube. Normally, the habit is that you look at it the fast mode, right, towards the exam, right? But yeah, that's up to you. How do you watch? But anyway, this course is very, very important. And so to those 40 people who are not there, I just wanted to mention that there could be quiz anytime, maybe on day one also. I want to know what you know, right? And just tell them sometime the weightage of this quiz. So I will tell you all the weightage and everything, but yeah, if there are less people, so I may take a quiz and maybe I will assign 40% of weightage. So you're gone actually, right? So be careful. The quiz can happen anywhere, either here or in tutorials. So very, very important that you attend everything, even if things are available online, right? Okay. Because here you can interact and ask questions. There you just watch like a movie, right? So that is very, very important. Anyway, so as you know, so there are two sections. And so first I'm going to talk about briefly certain administrative things uh, which are important. So I'm going to first talk about instructors, overview, some course outline, some course policy. Attendance policy is very important. Some warnings. And finally, it's a historical introduction a little bit. Of course, you can find more about me. So that's the address of YouTube channel @ Guptalab. My phone is there. And you can always ask me things on WhatsApp group. In fact, both the sections on same group. You see, I think about those 30, 40 people or whatever, 50 people, still there are, the number of people who on the WhatsApp is around how much? 278 or something? Or maybe 280? I don't know. So I think still that is less, right? So I think other people, I'm not sure where are these people, but anyway. So there is another instructor, Professor Prasenjit Kundu. So I think towards, yeah, in the May, in May, so after April, I will not be available for about a month. So I think Professor Prasenjit Kundu will take those classes, in those time in May. In section A. Section B, we have another instructor, Manoj Raut. So I think you know a little bit about these people. I should say Prasenjit Kundu is a mathematician working on complex networks and so on. It's a beautiful area. And Manoj is working on logic. So logic for computer science and all those kind of things. Okay. So these are the two things. I think all the other details are there, which you can check. Right now, Dr. Himani is there, who is going to look after your tutorials. Of course, initially, Professor Prasenjit Kundu will be there also to help you in couple of weeks, initial weeks. And then there are a couple of other teaching assistants, which we have to get them probably by 15th March or so, 16th March, right? So, because this week there is no tutorial, so next week there will be a tutorial, right? So you can look at it. So all the email address is there, so you can contact, and she's also on that WhatsApp group. So if you want to communicate to her. Academic calendar is very, very important, right? So you know that So I've written signups, which we will be probably preparing this week, right? Anyway, so important thing is this: from 2nd May to 5th May, there is first examination, and end semester from 3rd July to 8th July. So basically, these two places where the exam is there, and mid semester break from 8th May to 12th May. Normally, I give an assignment, a take-home assignment. It's kind of project. So I'll keep you busy for those 7 days or 8 days, 10 days, right? Continuously, the work should be going on, right? So that is there. The submission will be somewhere around this line, Anyway, and yeah, and after that you will be free, right? From 8th July till whatever is the next semester is starting time, 24th July. So you have a lot of time to enjoy, right? Okay. So these timings, I think you know about the tutorials. Whatever group you are in, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will happen in CP 110. Class timings are a little odd because of your late semester, right? So that's why we have to adjust. Otherwise, it's in the morning, right? So I know many of you have taken food, right? It's difficult to sit and listen. So we'll try to make it entertainment, right? So that you can enjoy. Otherwise, you will feel bored, okay? Now, something about the subject. This is a very exciting course. First, I am going to talk about some historical introduction. I will start with something very, very important thing is field. What is field? Field, what is cricket field? Where you can play cricket. Football field, where you can play football. Similarly, in mathematics, there is concept known as field, where you can play with numbers. When we say play with numbers, we mean we can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. All the 4 operations, if you can do, then that set is known as field. Okay, so there are 2 kind of fields: infinite, like real numbers, complex numbers, rational numbers, and then there is another flavor which is finite field. Finite fields mean finite number of elements in the set. That's really interesting. And most of your computers, it's a backbone for computer science, so you should know about it. Whenever you're looking at any error correction algorithms, all these packets that you see in the internet or anywhere in the computers, these are elements of these finite fields. Okay, so I'm going to give you, normally they don't cover these things in the first year, but I do give you a flavor, not too much mathematics, but just to play, okay, with certain things. We will talk about it, and then we'll actually finally I'll show you one application in RSA crypto system. So whenever you're accessing any banking website or whenever you are accessing HTTPS, that S word means secure. How that works using RSA crypto system, I'm going to explain those things. What is the mathematics behind it? Okay. And then I'll talk about some of the error correction things. Countable, uncountable, it depends. I think probably you might have done a course on calculus, right? Have you done countable, uncountable? Not yet. Okay, if you have not done, we can talk about it. Second, module 3, which is really very, very important. So normally people don't do these things in discrete math as well, but I do it because this is the basics of computer science. So normally in your syllabus, you will see there is a elective known as models of computation. So I have only included few things there, only about 6 lectures, which will give you really basic thing. Okay, it's only basic thing about it. Not going into too many details, but a lot of examples. You will see in most of the course, I am going to do only examples. Okay, and little bit theory here and there, but mostly examples so that you can really enjoy that flavor, right? Then we are, I think matrices you know from high school, right? Or 10+2. But there are 2 special kind of matrices which we are going to talk about. One is Hadamard matrix, another one is Fourier matrix. These are very useful from application point of view. So I'm going to talk about those things as well. Then few basic things about algorithms. So this is very useful for your competitive programming course. I think we don't have any competitive programming course here, right? But there is a book available you can find, I think from Princeton University Press, which you can look at it. Counting is a very, very important aspect. So we'll talk about some of these counting methods, permutation, combination, and so on. Solving recurrence relations. So many times when you are dealing with certain counting problems, it involves recurrence relations. How do you solve them? And then graphs is very easy thing. The easiest mathematics is graph theory, right? So about 8 lectures. So essentially, and then there's logic. Logic, sometimes people say, we use it as a common, natural thinking anyway. So that's all. It's not much. There are only 9 modules. And this is the flow I'm going to do. So first we'll talk about these 3 lectures and 3 lectures about logic, or maybe 2 lectures, 3 lectures, I guess. 2 lectures here we'll look at it, 5 lectures here, and maybe 1 lecture here and there. Some approximation is there, and matrices and so on. And then algorithms, 1 lecture, 3 lectures, and so on. This is the book which you should have, right? So Kenneth Rosen, I think this is the 7th edition. Probably after that, there is another edition. I don't keep track of this. Whatever edition is available, you can look at it. Okay. So you must have one book. These days, you don't read, right? You only go to the mobile phone, look at Google, whatever is there, or you can go to ChatGPT also, right? But there are problems ChatGPT cannot solve. Remember, I'm going to give you open problem in quiz and ask you to use ChatGPT. Nothing will be possible. Okay. So that's a challenge. Okay. So so I think you have to use your brain how to solve the problem. Anyway, this book reading is very, very important. As you know, I think this guy, Warren Buffett, you might be knowing, right? The great investor. So he says, he is still reading 500 pages per day. Okay. So if you want to make money, you need to get the habit of reading, which you don't, because you are busy in TikTok, right? Most of the time. So attention is very, very low. So, you need to increase that attention. Anyway, this is our, remember, this is our grading policy, but I have written tentative so that I am safe, right? Tomorrow I may change also. As I said, if I feel that, okay, I take this random quiz and I will assign 40% of weightage, so you cannot blame me. I will say it is tentative, right? So that is a possibility. Roughly, basically, test 1 20%, final exam 30%, scribes or quizzes 20%, take home project 30%. So you see, in a mathematics course, I am giving more weightage towards take home. So if you do it really well, you will enjoy, doing something, because doing something is very, very important. Okay. When we talk about project, then we'll talk more about it. Tutorials you will be having anyway. Okay, and it's a tea time, 5 to 6. So normally in US, actually, tea is allowed in the class. In some of my classes, students used to bring newspaper also, newspaper and tea, and then sitting there enjoying the lecture. But I think here they don't allow, right? So attendance policy, as I mentioned, in each class, I'm going to give you some problems, which I'm going to ask in the exam also, right? So I call them tea time problems. So whenever you're drinking tea or coffee in the evening, you can try to solve these problems. So purposefully, I'll give something, some problem which you have to do. So that's why I think if you're not coming to the class, you will miss them. And then, you try to find, and I'm sure for certain problems, you will not find solution anywhere. You have to think. If for some reason beyond your control, you are going to miss a class, so I think on Google Classroom, there will be a form available which you can fill in and submit the reason why you are not there. Maybe you are studying whole night, it's a very good thing, and then, and you want to miss the class, just write down the reason that I was awake for whole night reading, so which is fine. But you see, कुछ लोग बहाने बनाते हैं, right? So they say that scooter का tire puncture हो गया, whatever, some, and then you see, basically, एक बार बनाएगा बहाना, right? Another time you will make, so then you can easily make out this person is only trying to fool. So one can catch easily. So get this habit of filling this form because it's your moral responsibility to come to the class, right? ये वाली ऊपर तीन वाली, right? Okay, as I mentioned, I will give you some notes and writing everything, but most of the lectures are available. Even the last 2 years lectures are also available on YouTube. You can subscribe and watch. I hope some of you have joined, but many of you, I think 282 was the last time which I saw. So you can join these for both the sections A and B. Okay. Any question at this point? No question? Crystal clear? Okay, so now I can go and give you some warning. Normally in mathematics courses, people are often find it difficult to solve a mathematical problem, right? So what you do if you are trying to solve a problem on your own and you are not able to do. So basically this is very common thinking. The human thinking is that, okay, you are trying to solve a problem, you are not able to do it, it's fine, perfectly fine. It's not a crime. So there are mathematicians who have told what to do in that scenario. Okay. For example, there is a book by George Polya. I'm going to tell you this. This is the book, How to Solve It. If you cannot solve a problem, then there is easier problem you can solve. Find it. Or if you cannot solve the proposed problem, try to solve for some related problem. Could you imagine a more accessible related problem? This is something advised by famous mathematician George Polya. How to approach a problem. Always try to solve a problem. If you're not solve the complete problem, try to see if you can look at a sub problem. Try to solve it, right? That is the approach you need to keep whenever you are solving any mathematical problem. By the way, there is something which I mentioned here, that you basically ask questions here in the class itself. That will be really nice. Whatever doubts you have, you make sure that you clear that week itself. It should not be, that you are think it for about 15 minutes. Okay. Then if you are not able to do it, then what you do? Ask your peers, your group. The peer network is very important. Okay. Ask your seniors. If not, ask the TAs, ask the tutors. Finally, you ask the mentors on Friday. I mean, like, you can ask me or obviously on WhatsApp also. But I suggest you ask the questions on the entire WhatsApp group. Don't be shy. Question could be anything. But I'm saying if you ask to everybody can see and they can learn from that interaction. Rather than sending me individually message and then I have to, copy paste and so on. That's not a good idea. Okay. So now, first warning about academic integrity and honesty. Do not copy paste your homework. Cheating will result in a fail grade. Okay. And but of course, if you want to do cheating, I can give you a question paper which you can take home, use Google and Chat GPT, and come back. You will not be able to do. Right. So that kind of question paper, if you want, I can give you that also. Right. It's your choice. Okay. Then you are allowed and encouraged to discuss among your peers and anyone, but do not copy the solution. Actually, many times when you make for projects, making PPTs, be very careful. Either use pictures with permissions or use according to the user's policy of the picture. Okay. And so this is wrong. Familiarize yourself with copyright and plagiarism policy. I think this is all spelling check, right? That person, I mean, that program has changed that word itself. Anyway, so copyright and plagiarism policies are very, very important. You should know. I think there is a rule that you should not copy more than 5 words. So you know that we use Turnitin software for all your, if you submit your assignment, it will go through Turnitin automatically, right? So I know how much is copy paste. So I encourage you, it should be 0%. And how you can ensure that it is 0%? You read everything, you discuss with everything. Whenever you are writing, close your, all these things. If you want to write it on laptop or by pen and paper, take a cup of coffee in the garden and write. You will see that always it will be 0%. Okay, so that will make sure that you get 0%, copyrighted material. Anyway, now common mistakes people do not go to the class as first year is rest year, right? study only from the exam point of view, study towards the exam date, receive advice from bad seniors. So some seniors is your first thing, right? So if you ask them, can you give advice? But before asking advice, you should ask them what they have achieved. Okay, so that is very, very important. So I call them, I mean, there is no bad senior. Maybe I should use another word for it. But I'm saying that there are some people are still confused. They don't know what to do. I'll show you that case also. Also, some people think that CPI is not important because if you go for a placement, the companies say that Microsoft will come and say that I want people with CPI more than 8.5. Okay. Or some company will say 8 or 9. So that's why CPI is important. But what is the ideal CPI? I like people who have CPI from 7 to 8.5. Above 8.5 are useless people, and below 7 kind of confused. They are the ideal people who do very good in the life, actually. I'm telling you, this is more from my experience from last 30 years. I know people who are in this range are optimistic and they can do wonders. More than 8.5, they are just memorizing, all kind of problems are there anyway. Not having a study plan is very important. Sometimes it is good to study in groups. So actually, that's very good habit. I mean, you can form a small group. You can call it tea time group. And whatever problems I am giving you, you can actually in the evening just sit with a cup of tea or coffee and try to solve, discuss in the group. Very good exercise actually. Okay. So that is something you can have a habit. Not reading the textbook is a big problem. So you should read a textbook. See, no matter how good one can convey the stuff, but unless you should have your own reading habits, it's very, very important. And that's another thing, only studying few courses, not paying attention to all courses, or only doing competitive programming. How many of you started doing competitive programming? Okay, very good. So 4 or 5 people are there. So remember, there will be a lot of challenges for all these competitive programmers. Okay, I invite you to do something and you will see that how helpless you are. Okay. A good plan for your BTech ICT first year, focus on study, make CPI first year actually, okay. Then programming languages is something that people expect from you. At least 50,000 lines of code, single person you should be able to write, okay, in your all 4 years. It's a very, very important thing. If you know programming, you can survive easily, right? Because you can always do something. When I say programming means a program which I think I have been fortunate to have very good students work with me. They have written 30,000 lines, 40,000 lines of code individually. And the confidence they get after that for competitive programming is not required for them, right? It's straightforward. The company wants them because there is a skill, solid skill inside you, right? So that is very, very important. It could be, of course, C is very basic or C++. Python is fancy language anyway, but you can pick up anything. By the way, you know that Python is not really a green programming language, right? There is a list of green programming language. Which programming language is green? Yeah, so I think that list is available on internet, you can find. You require a strong mathematical algorithmic problem solving skills. This is very, very important. So there are 2 things which people should study, we should actually people expect from you. Number 1, you should be able to read any damn thing on this planet, right? That ability you need to have. You should be able to read and understand. And that is possible only if you have strong mathematical skills. By default, design, most of the Indians are good in mathematics, but they are sometimes confused, okay, by other attractive things. So they do not focus. But if you focus, you will really enjoy. And I think in my career, whenever I'm teaching all these maths through applications, most of the students always say that they really love mathematics because, they can see the beauty, right? So maths is really very beautiful and you should see the beauty anyway. I'll show you a lot of beautiful things here. Okay, explore for year 1 and year 2, explore. Another very important thing on weekdays, weekends basically, either Saturday half or Sunday half, go to the library and read periodicals. It's very, very important for you to read periodicals to see 360 degree angle what is going on. It could be science, it could be technology, it could be business, it could be marketing, anything. That general reading is very, very important, okay? And people don't have that habit. And then say, so this is very important for generating new ideas. When you read a lot of things, connect the dots and you get new ideas. So it's very, very important that you should, of course, sleeping is there, 7 or 8 hours. But if you are yogi, you can do that, you can extend that anyway. So after BTech, people expect a good CPI from you, strong fundamentals, strong programming skills, strong in one specialization. So whatever path you will choose, it depends where you go. So all these competitive programmers, I should tell you one thing, there is a warning. So people who do not pay attention to strong fundamentals, they go to company. Okay, ठीक है, competitive programming थोड़ा सा किया, score आया, entry ticket मिल गया, right? After that, either you survive or you don't survive. And the survival depends on if your fundamentals are strong or you are able to again study sometime, then you can survive. Otherwise, people also go out. Okay, so you only look at the entry point, but you're not looking at the survival point. I have seen many cases where people after working 2 years, 3 years, they are contacting me again. Now I want to go and look at the fundamentals because that is what I have missed. So you have to keep a balance on everything, right? It's very, very important. If fundamentals are not strong, you cannot survive for a long. Maybe you can get a quick entry ticket, right? So I'm saying that you need to keep a balance of that. Okay. So I think I'll show you a few cases here. There are some students like Muskan and Charlene who got huge scholarship around $84,000, $60,000 just after BTech in PhD. So some people go for niche PhD areas, Many people have joined good companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, whatever. Many have joined normal PhD and MS abroad. Many have joined IIMs for MBA. By the way, MBA, I call them babus, right? Because, they do just Excel sheet mostly. Many have joined normal company jobs. Many have started their own company. And many are confused. They're still discovering themselves, right? So this case 7 might be there for some cases, right? But that's okay. It's a normal thing. Probably you require more time to find yourself, what you are. Some people are going for IAS or PCS exam. So by the way, you can make your destiny. This is very nice. A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. This is how thought gives you feeling. Feeling gives you action. Action gives you habit. Habit gives you attitude. Attitude gives you personality. And that gives you destiny. So what you think, you will become. And this is the biological property of human beings. Okay. So you think and you will become that thing. Okay. Okay. Now I think what is ICT? ICT is everywhere. Philosophy of information processing. This slide is very, very important. So I think many of you might be misguided by some people saying that communication is not very important. If your mobile phone does not have communication, what will you do? Nothing, right? You cannot just write a computer program and it's all done, right? If you really want to do things, so this is also very important. So one is information technology, application is computer science, Turing machine, communication technology, theory of communication, information coding theory, and realization via logic gates and circuits. So VLSI, hardware, electronics, all these 3 components are very, very important. And your degree is important because now you are getting actually, manthan of all these 3 things, right? Which is ICT. Okay, so it's very, very important that you focus attention on everything. Of course, you should know most of the things, but in one thing you can be very strong. That depends on your interest. So what is computer, By the way, what is this actually? Can you tell me? This is a register of a computer that you use, right? At each point, there is a bit, 0 or 1. What is this? Anyone? That shows that general awareness is 0. Yes. This pin is there. So this is a register of a quantum computer. So for you, if you don't know quantum computers, you are outdated actually. Because your focus might be only on competitive programming and you don't know quantum computing. We do have a course on quantum computing, but actually, uh, you can do some certification. IBM Qiskit certifications are possible, which you can do. But that's the interesting thing that you have one course on quantum computing anyway. Now, discrete math is really, people started calling discrete math when computer science started developing. Okay, so a lot of other things, but before that, of course, there were so many things in India, especially origin of algebra was there in India, right? You can see that this book by Kumar Swamy, Dance of Shiva. I don't know whether you have looked at it. So how many of you have seen this book? Very good. So, okay, so I think you can look at some of the Indian stuff. So you'll see that he was, I think, from Sri Lanka, if I remember right correctly. So he's written this nice book, 14 Indian essays. You can find some reference of algebra. Panini Ashtadhyaya is very important. And I think a lot of interesting things happened in the Gupta Empire. You might have seen a lot of interesting things like Brahmagupta and other mathematicians were there, right? So who invented zero, by the way? So that is first tea time problem. Discover. Search and tell me the name. Who invented zero? The oldest thing appeared at Peshawar, near Peshawar actually. They found one manuscript where actually the oldest written zero is there. Before that, in Gwalior, there is a temple. I don't know whether you visited that temple where zero is there in the temple wall. Okay, so that's the first thing. So Aryabhatta has not invented zero. So now I think it's up to you to find out. That's why I'm saying that you don't know most of the historical facts. Anyway, so this is an interesting thing. In science, if you know what you are doing, you should not be doing it. Right? And in engineering, if you do not know what you are doing, you should not be doing it. So these are two important statements by Richard W. Hamming. Hamming was a very famous mathematician at AT&T Bell Labs, and it is because of him we are able to create computers which can correct errors. And either we want to we can store data, so that is because of Hamming. So how much time is left? So now we can 2 minutes break and then I can start again. How much time is there? Still we have enough 25 minutes, right? 3:30. I can keep on going for 2 hours, whatever you know. So if you don't have any class, I can talk about it. Okay. So this was all introduction. Any question about introduction and motivation and all these things? No? Yes. Homework. Project. So project actually, you have to pick up some business problem. Business problem is where daily, mathematics is used, right? Somewhere. And from that business problem, you formulate a, take a daily problem, see if you can apply discrete mathematics on the top of it, what kind of discrete math can be applied. And then, you develop the solution. So you have to write a code also. You have to write a wiki page also. You have to create a YouTube video also. Everything is there. And also, you will learn LaTeX. How many of you know LaTeX? So if you don't know LaTeX means you must be knowing MS Word. MS Word is only for babus. Are you a babu? LaTeX is a technical programming language which you should know. So that's why there is a compulsory in the project that you have to write report in LaTeX. And LaTeX can be learned in just one day. Not very difficult. Okay. So don't become babus. Become technical. So what is the purpose? What is your purpose? What you want to do after BTech? Job? See, there are two. The purpose of education could be to create babus or create basically workers or create leaders. Okay. So one leader is sufficient to actually take care of so many workers and babus, right? Look at Elon Musk. Those kind of person, if you want to become, you have to be strong in mathematics and programming skills, right? And if you want to become babu, there is no problem. You can always become, use Excel sheet and fill all those things, data, right? Or make presentations. And that too also you don't know. So in the project, I am going to teach you how to make good presentation. Presentation skills are very weak. Because I think in your, I mean, this should be taught at class 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever, when you first time PPT is introduced to you, right? So you should actually know how to make a very good presentation. Because बाबूज का यही काम है, presentation बनाना और Excel sheet भरते रहना, right? So that is also a part of it, but I'm saying that there are many other things, challenges, right? So what you want to do. Anyway, so if there is no question, I can start the class. Okay, so first thing I want to tell you about field. So most of the mathematics actually uh, is because of the need of the business, right? Whatever business people were doing, as you know, that in the early days, first time counting started. Okay, people are having cows or other things and so on, and they wanted to exchange. Okay, you can give me 5 cows, I will give you 20. Some other stuff, right? Or maybe so. Basically, counting or calculation is a very very basic thing whenever you want to do exchange of certain goodies or certain stuff, right? So that resulted in first very basic thing, which is set of natural numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, infinite. There are infinitely, you can count, right? You are familiar with set of natural numbers, right? But then business has given certain problems which you cannot solve over natural numbers. For example, if there is equation x plus 5, sorry, x plus 5 is equal to 0. So you cannot solve over set of natural numbers, right? Because there is no concept on negative numbers. So you need to extend the domain and you get what is known as, what you will get? Integers. Integers having 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on, right? And then the business is okay, people will keep on doing the things. Then there was a problem. Then there was equations like, oh, 2x equal to 1, and you cannot solve over integers. So you again extend the set, and then what you get? Huh? Rationals. So rationals are numbers of the form p by q such that whatever blah blah blah, right? Q not equal to 0 and p and q are integers. Rationals, fine. Then there are equations which you cannot solve on rationals. X equal to 2, you cannot solve on rationals. You further extend, so what you get? Real numbers, right? R. And then there are equations which you cannot solve on real numbers. X square plus 1 is equal to 0. You get complex numbers. Are there equations which you cannot solve on complex numbers? Complex numbers you have studied recently in your calculus class, right? Can anyone tell me how many infinities are there in complex plane? How many infinities are there? On the real line, there are two, minus infinity, plus infinity. In the complex plane, how many infinities are there? So this is the first tea time problem for you to enjoy. Okay? So पहली problem का flavor मिल गया तुमको? How many infinities are there in complex plane? So by the way, complex numbers are important because in complex plane you can solve any equations, right? Whether it is of any degree, right? So roots are either real or complex, and if the roots are in complex, they occur in pair, right? That right? So you can do all those things. I think you might be familiar with this Sridharacharya formula, right? ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 is not equal to 0. The solution is minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. I will show you beautiful things that this formula does not work in certain cases. Not for real or complex, but some other interesting, beautiful things you will observe. Okay, so I hope this is a high school thing, right? Everybody knows about it. So out of these sets, what are the fields? Whether set of natural number is a field? Natural number is a field. Can I play with all the 4 operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? No, right? We cannot do that. What about integers? Can I do all the 4 operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? No. What about Q? Can I do all the 4 operations? Yes. So this is the first field. Second is reals. We can do all the 4 operations. Third is C. You can do all the 4 operations. So Q, R, and C are examples of infinite fields. Field with infinite number of elements, where you can do all the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This is first thing that you should know. Okay? It's a very, very basic thing. So the question is, if I ask you, so this is a very loose definition. I'm saying that, okay, the field is a set where you can do all the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Now, if I ask you, can you give me a field with the smallest number of elements where you can do all the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? How will you do that? All 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. 1, 1. How many of you prepared for IT JEE? JEE exam हो क्या जो भी A main or whatever, I don't know. I mean, now there are different versions, right? अरे तो बड़ा हाथ उठाओ ना, सब लोग छोटा छोटा क्यों उठा रहे हो? मैं कैसे देखूंगा? वेरी गुड. वहां इक्वेशन सॉल्व करना तो सिखाया गया होगा ना? Okay. By the way, I think because you did calculus just now, I can ask you one very simple question. How will you integrate sin x cube dx? ओके, तो तुम्हारा सारा जेई का एग्जाम जो है ना, रिवीजन हो जाएगा. तो कैलकुलस में शायद तुमने किया होगा. तो एक्चुअली मैं इसी तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स तुमको दूंगा ऑल अलोंग द होल कोर्स, एंड यू विल फाइंड इट डिफिकल्ट टू यूज चैट जीपीटी. I think, but ChatGPT can give you some answer. Probably, I have not checked it, but because there is one search engine which can give you answer to this problem. But how will you solve it? Actually, the first question is how will you solve it? You may assume x cube is equal to t and do all the substitution and calculations, and then see the beauty. So आज शाम की चाय पे you can try. Okay. So how many infinities in a complex plane? Actually, that answer you can get on Google also, I'm sure. But what I'm saying that think about it, how many infinities are there? You know, that thinking is very, very important. Manjil important nahi hai, rasta important hai, right? So that will, when you travel, you will learn a lot. Okay. Okay, so now, so the first I'm going to give you, so basically, think like this. I have to construct a field with the smallest number of elements. Now, one basic property of field is that it should have all 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? So addition or subtraction hoga. So what is important that there should be additive identity. 0 should be there. That's first thing. Second thing, multiplicative inverse hona chahiye har element ka. So that means for every A in the set, A into B should be 1, right? So there exists a B which is inverse of A, right? So that means 1 is also important. 0 should be there and 1 should be there. So the field will have at least 2 number of elements, because 0 and 1 are important, right? Otherwise you will not be able to do anything. So I am now going to, I think you are familiar with one thing which is really very interesting. Look at this. I am forming a set integer modulo 2. Take integers divided by 2. What are the possible remainders? 0 or 1? Right? Only two possible remainders. I have written them 0 or 1. And the operations are plus 2 and multiplication 2. Plus 2 means you take the numbers, add them, and resultant you divide it by 2 and see what is the remainder. That is the operation. Multiplication of 2 means multiply the two numbers, divide it by 2 and see what is the remainder. So that is how you can actually do the calculations. So let me show you what you are going to get. I'm going to make some tables here. So 0 plus 0 is 0, addition modulo 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2, which is 0 modulo 2. पूरी मैथमेटिक्स भुलाऊंगा मैं धीरे धीरे, right? Whatever you see 1 plus 1 is 0 now, right? Modulo 2, got it? 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 1 is 0 actually. Fine. What about multiplication? I mean 0, 0 will be this and 1 into 1 will be this, right? So how do I check that all the four operations are there? So I'm going to look at what is the additive identity 0, right? So I can see that whether every element in the set has an inverse with respect to addition. So I just encircle 0 here and 0 here. So that means 0 plus, sorry, that means 0 plus 0 is equal to 0 and 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So 0 is inverse of itself and 1 is also self-invertive. 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 because 0 is the additive inverse. So 0 is the additive identity, right? Fine. What about multiplication? So in case of multiplication table, every non-zero element should have an inverse. So I can forget about 0. But otherwise, I know 1 into 1 is equal to 1. So 1 is self-invertive. Okay. So here I am. So in the table, I look at where is the multiplicative identity and relate. So 1 into 1 is equal to 1 means 1 is self-invertive. Okay. So all the four operations are satisfied in this set. So it is the smallest field. And that's why this is known as binary field and your computers are based on binary field. अगर computers play ही नहीं कर सकते तो किस काम के? If they cannot do all the four operations, right? So this is very, very basic thing. Field with two number of elements. Any question? Any question in the class anywhere? Very good. या तो सब समझ में आया तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, right? That is the only thing, only binary. Questions तभी नहीं होते, right? So remember I said CPI below than 7 are useless. CPI more than 8.5 are useless, right? So बीच वाले लोग अच्छे होते हैं, right? So anyway, any question? No? Fine. So let me go and take the, so now I'm going, so I have constructed field with two number of elements. Now I want to construct field with three number of elements. What should I do? I'm going to carry the same approach and see what happens. Okay. This time, integer modulo 3 having elements 0, 1 and 2. Sorry, 0, 1 and 2 operation plus 3 mod 3. So now let me compute 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. 0 plus 0, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2, 1 plus 0, 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 0. Because modulo 3. 2 plus 0, 2. 2 plus 1, 3, 0. 2 plus 2, 4. Modulo 3, 1. Very good. Now we look at multiplication table. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1 into 1, 1 into 1, 1. 1 into 2, 2. 2 into 1, 2. And 2 into 2, 1. So I am going to again encircle additive identities and multiplicative identities. Now you can see that. So when I encircle the first additive identity, so that means 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 is self-invertive with respect to addition. Then I go to the second one, 1 plus 2 is equal to 0. Same thing as 2 plus 1 is equal to 0. That means 1 and 2 are inverses of each other with respect to addition. Then we go to third one, 2 plus 1, the same thing. So every element 0, 1, 2 has inverse with respect to addition. So we can play with the addition things. Addition and basically subtraction we can play. What about multiplication? So forget about 0. So there are two, because see 0 we don't divide, right? So we forget about 0. So look at the first one. So that means 1 into 1 is equal to 1. So 1 is self-invertive, right? Inverse of 1 is 1 itself. 2 into 2 is 1. So 2 is self-invertive, right? Inverse of 2 is 2. So basically, first question that I am going to ask, what is the value of 1 by 2? 1 by 2 is 0.5 normally, right? Here it is 2. See the beauty. 1 by 2 is equal to 2. Right? Believe नहीं हो रहा होगा ना? हमारी आंखों के सामने है सब कुछ, right? That is the beauty of mathematics, right? Start enjoying the beauty. See, beauty you can observe only by observing. You should observe. So you observe here the beauty. 1 by 2 is equal to 2, right? Got? Any question? If you understood this, can you go and construct a field with 4 number of elements? बताओ टेबल फटाफट. So integer modulo 4 entries will be 0, 1, 2, 3. You make the addition table and multiplication table and answer me this question whether this is a field or not. So I gave you an example of field with 2 number of elements. I gave you an example of field with 3 number of elements. जो आसान है मैं क्लास में करता हूँ, जो डिफिकल्ट है वो छोड़ देता हूँ. तो 4 वाला थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी है. So now see what you do. So let me also do for you. Integer modulo 4. Entries are 0, 1, 2, 3. Operations are addition modulo 4 and multiplication modulo 4. I can write down the tables. Plus 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. 0 plus 0, 0. 0 plus 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 0. 2, 3, 0. 1, 3, 0, 2. With respect to multiplication, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1 into 1 is 1. 1 into 2 is how much? 2. 1 into 3 is 3. 2. 2 into 2 is? 2 into 3 is? 2. 2 into 3 is 6. Modulo 4 it is 2. 3 plus 1 is? 3 into 1 is 3. 3 into 2 is? 2. 3 into 3 is 9. Very good. So now I encircle this, 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 this. Now tell me whether it is a field or not. With respect to addition, just check. We have inverse of 0 because 0 plus 0 is 0. Inverse, look at the second 0. So 1 plus 3 are invertive. So we have inverse of 1 and 3. And what about 2? 2 plus 2 is equal to 0. So 2 is inverse of itself. 0 is inverse of itself. And 1 and 3 are inverses of each other. So every element has a additive inverse. So ये तो हो गया, कोई टेंशन नहीं. What about multiplication? So 1 into 1 is equal to 1. So 1 is self-invertive. I have to look at non-zero elements. So 1 has inverse because 1 into 1 is equal to 1. 3 into 3 is equal to 1. So 3 has inverse. But what about 2? 2 into 2 is equal to 0. So काम तो नहीं हुआ, right? So this is not a field because 2 has no inverse. What a beauty, right? 2 has no inverse. Now you see, the question is basically, in the field, you must have observed product of two numbers is equal to 0, then one of them has to be 0. This property you know. A into B is equal to 0, then one of them has to be 0, right? Pura high school, pura JEE exam mein yahi padha hai, right? A into B is equal to 0, then either A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0. Or both are 0, that's fine. Here, none of them is 0. But still product is 0. 2 into 2 is equal to 0. That is a beautiful thing, right? So the question, another question for T time problem. There is a problem. I am not able to, this method which we tried for 2 number of elements, 3 number of elements, fails for 4 number of elements. So how do we construct field with 4 number of elements? This is a tea time problem. Coffee पीते हो तो coffee पियो, right? चाय पीते हो तो चाय पियो शाम को. Think about it. Okay. So, and see if you can think how to construct a field with 4 number of elements. Think about it. Okay. It's a very beautiful thing. Anyway, I'm going to show you later on, but it's an interesting thing. Give some thought. Okay. How to construct field with 4 number of elements. One clever way could be, I take 4 elements, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and try to fill the table such that everything is, so I can find that operation actually, right? That is one approach, right? So algebra is very powerful. You assume everything, say, okay, these 4 elements are alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and they should have these properties, right? Somehow the inverses with respect to addition should be taken care, and the inverses with respect to multiplication should be taken care. And so find those operations, and then you are done. That is one way of approaching, right? Otherwise, what are the possibilities that you think? I think that's all. Any further question about it? आज का class खत्म, right? आज का show खत्म, right? Anything else? Any question? So next we are going to meet on Friday, and I think today probably I am going to release your first assignment also, so that you have some time to play with it. Okay.